In the quaint town of Curtin, Germany, lived a man named Johann, a violinist of extraordinary talent. He had been known across the country for his mesmerizing melodies, but the glittering stages, flashing lights, and fame had lost its appeal to him. He yearned for a life far from the applause and the critics. Thus, Johann sold his mansion in the city and bought a cottage nestled in the thick woods outside Curtin. The cottage, surrounded by towering trees and an array of fauna, was the perfect refuge for Johann. Every morning, he'd get up at the crack of dawn and practice his violin on his porch, the music echoing into the forest. It was not long before he noticed that the birds started singing along to his melodies. The twittering of sparrows, the cooing of doves, the melodious warbling of nightingales, it seemed like an orchestra in harmony with his violin. Intrigued, Johann started experimenting, changing his rhythm and tempo to match the birds' songs. A unique blend of music formed, a magical symphony that echoed in the woods every dawn. One morning, Johann woke to find a small, misshapen violin left on his porch. It was unlike any he'd ever seen. The strings were made from what looked like spider silk, the body was intricately carved from a piece of petrified wood, and it was adorned with iridescent feathers. Puzzled, Johann picked it up. It was surprisingly light and despite its bizarre make, held a note that was mesmerizing. Intrigued, he decided to play it the following dawn. As the sun peeped over the horizon, Johann played the first note on the strange violin. An unexpected, harmonious sound filled the air. And then, to his surprise, the entire forest came alive. It was not just the birds this time, but the rustling leaves, the croaking frogs, the hooting owls, even the wind seemed to carry a tune. It was as if the entire forest was a part of his orchestra. News of the forest symphony spread across Curtin. People started gathering outside Johann's cottage every dawn, to witness the enchanting spectacle. Johann, once a famous violinist, was now the conductor of the forest's orchestra. This newfound fame was different from his past, it was pure, more real. But the fame brought unwanted attention as well. One day, a wealthy businessman, known for his collection of eccentric musical instruments, visited Johann. He had heard of the peculiar violin and offered Johann a fortune to buy it. But Johann declined. The violin was not just an instrument, but a friend, a conduit that connected him with nature, his orchestra. The businessman, however, was relentless. He returned to the city, and under the cover of darkness, sent his men to steal the violin. As they snuck onto the porch, the forest grew silent. The usual symphony of the night was replaced by an eerie quietness. The following morning, Johann discovered the theft. Heartbroken, he took his old violin and started playing, but the forest remained silent. He played and played, hoping to wake the forest, but all he received was silence. Johann felt an emptiness he'd never experienced before. Days passed, but the forest symphony never resumed. Word spread about the theft, and the townsfolk were outraged. In a surprising turn of events, the businessman's guilt overpowered him, and he anonymously returned the violin to Johann's doorstep one night. The next morning, as Johann found the returned violin on his porch, tears welled up in his eyes. Holding it close, he started playing. A soft rustle began among the leaves, the sparrows started twittering, and slowly the rest of the creatures joined in. The forest symphony was back, more beautiful than ever before. From that day forth, the forest never remained silent. Johann's symphony with nature became a beacon of harmony and unity, inspiring the town and those beyond it. His story served as a reminder that true music transcends human-made instruments, it connects souls, weaves communities, and in the case of Johann and his forest, even species. This was the symphony that echoed in the woods of Curtin, the symphony of life.